shut get out shot, shut up, and it's like how so yeah, shot. Those are the true names and the people. Watch the whole time, and I said, "I'm telling you, hell, who's the process of I can reference to someone." And so, at the same time, it's about April 16th, 2026. On this Thursday noon, and the title of our side, let's go read the book of Ezekiel Chapter 38, verse 1 to verse 4. As we start to see the tensions are only going to heat up between Russia and Ukraine. So that goes to that Ezekiel 38 chapter. Because Russia represents the bear, and Ezekiel 38 chapter, they still going to be that war like I said. You're still going to have tensions heating up between Russia and the United States. You're still going to have Russia versus Ukraine. That's going to continue to heat up as well too. And this is the book of Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse 1. It says, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 2, it says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and Magog, and the chief prince of Meshach, Tubal, and prophesy against him. Right, so just like the prophet Ezekiel was prophesying against Gog and Magog, chief prince of Meshach, Tubal, we're prophesying against we're prophesying against Esau, which represents the bear of Gog and Magog, chief prince of Meshach, Tubal. Ruled by the Russians, and these are times ruled by the Japhetic nation of ancient times. Now, modern day times ruled by Esau. This is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 3. It says, thus said it says, behold, I am against you, God, the Jews, and shall Tubal. Why so whenever God is against them, he shall Tubal still to his way. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 4, it says, I will turn you back and put princes to our jaws, and bring you forth from all my army, goes to most all the good from all sorts of armor, even break up the government shoes. Right, so Russia represents the bear of Ezekiel 38 chapter. That we're seeing that Ezekiel 38 chapter is in full effect. So that's why we're seeing tensions are only going to escalate between Russia and Ukraine. Because early this morning when I had woke up, I had to sit down lesson about like 2 hours ago, about 2 or 3 hours ago, early this morning when I had woke up. Then you had a news article from CBS News. You had like this is like the largest missile strikes between Russia and Ukraine in the first time in 2026. So that shows that the tensions are heating up between Russia and Ukraine on a daily basis. Now you had a news article. I was looking at the news article, and you had like some of the civilians that's that were there. They was like, we so used to this. we so used to them. We were so used to Russia and Ukraine using airstrikes against one another. All we got to do is just pack our items in multiple different spot areas and stuff like that. So it shows that we're still going to see this Russia versus Ukraine situation is only going to intensify. Ever since that military operation that Russia did back in 2022, and all the way to now, it's going to continue to increase. So that's what we're seeing this place. As we see the picture of Russia and Ukraine. And this is like Ezekiel chapter 48, verse 4. It says, I will turn you back and put princes to our jaws, and we break the forth from all our own, and this is what all the good horses and all the good the shoes, all the series. And this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, verse 17. It says, behold, I will stir up the knees against them, which they shall regard silver, and as a gold, they shall not win. And so, ever since 2.5 months ago, you had the United States and Russia had turned away from that, what's called that nuclear arms treaty. Back like 2.5 months ago, because this is April 16th, because back in February the 5th of 2026, 2 months ago, that nuclear arms treaty between Russia and the United States had expired. Because keep in mind, you had Euro 47, that the current president of this country. He was mentioning about why we can't fire off our nuclear weapons. That's China and Russia, they can do that. And the United States said, why can we launch our missiles as well too? And I believe call that Minuteman missile or something like that from the United States. And so that shows that ever since that nuclear arms treaty been expired between both sides, and some of the tensions might heat up once again between Russia and the United States. It's been going on and off back and forth, but it's going to heat up once again a nuclear arms race. That gave Russia a green light to build up more and more of their nuclear capability. So these are two nuclear powerhouses of Russia and the United States going to heat up once again. So ever since you would kind of think they would have like some progress talks about this nuclear arms treaty to continue for another year, but it was getting to that point and since the talks been collapsed. So I'm going to see how it plays out. In the meantime, definitely see these two arms of once again, especially with the NATO, with the NATO-led bloc of the United States, and then you would have heavy tension heating up between Russia and Russia and NATO, the European Union, NATO versus Russia and Belarus. So these tensions are only going to heat up, and that's what we're seeing. This is out of the book of Isaiah 13:17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which they shall regard silver and as gold, they shall not light in. Right, so the Medes are the Russians today, for as gold and silver, they shall not light in. So with that, this was just a quick outside lesson that I wanted to bring out of Ezekiel Chapter 38, verse 1 to verse 4. That we're going to see the Russians, they still going to be in that warlike mindset. And ever since then, tensions have been really heating up between Russia and Ukraine. And I believe early this morning, because the time zones are kind of different over there in Ukraine and Russia in comparison over here in the United States. Because this is like the largest airstrike that Russia did on the Ukrainians. Because I believe there was a news article that was reported about Russia and Ukraine attacking an oil facility over there in Russia. So the tensions are going to expand between these both nations. And these are the same nations that divided. They separated each other ever since 1993. Ever since the USSR. So ever since then, the only nations that have been cool with one another is like Belarus and Russia. These are some former Soviet nations that used to be part of the USSR. But ever since then, you've been having Russia and Ukraine heating up to So let's see. I think this hometown got hit by a heavy nuclear fire, which previously now it's hit once again. So these tensions between Russia and Ukraine are going to heat up. So as I mentioned again, this was just another outside lesson for the second time. Ezekiel Chapter 38. Now it's time to sit down and listen. So expect to see these Russians continue to do it. So with that, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor to say Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Makakadash. And the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach Yahweh Shah. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the Lashkar Holy Tongue. And I say Barak to the elders and the apostles, Ba'akim, Ba'akwaf. Until next time, I will say Kwame Shiralim, and above all, Shalom.